Is it helpful for someone to say, oh, you're an actor, you know who you look just like? And then you're like, well, even if it's a compliment or maybe someone you're thinking, okay, whatever. But do you feel that that's helpful for the outside world to tell an actor that they look just like another actor?
I mean, I think it is in a way, as much as a lot of actors are insecure about that, because, you know, you do have to know how people perceive you. That doesn't mean you have to try to pander to what people want from you, because I do think as an actor, it's important to take chances and take risks and, you know, like follow your instincts. But at the same time, I think you have to know how people perceive you before you try and challenge that. Because if you don't know how they perceive you, how are you going to challenge that? You know, like you gotta, because I've been told I look like Robert Pattinson. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I think it's important to know that. Because if you don't know, you know, there's a lot of talk about type in Hollywood.
Right.
And I think it can be quite limiting, but even so, you still have to be aware of it.
Sure.
Because, I mean, if you're a heavyset man, you want to be James Bond, and you think you can change that, and you think you can challenge people's perception of James Bond, go ahead. But in order to do that, you have to know that people will not look at you and think that you're James Bond.
Sure.
So you have to be aware of your type before you challenge your type. And you do have to be aware of how people perceive you. It's like that old saying, you can break the rules, but you have to know the rules before you break them.
Sure.
You don't even necessarily have to follow the rules, but you have to know them.
Right, or in order to change the system, you have to be part of the system, but maybe that's a different quote, sorry.
Kind of, I mean, yeah, I think in a way.
Yeah. So do you remember when a casting director or someone said, oh, this is your type? And how did you feel about it? And then did you want to challenge it? I mean, Robert Pattinson, that's not a bad...
That's not a bad
no,
type.
Not at all.
I think, when did people start saying that to me? I think, like, junior year of high school already, people were saying that about me.
And I can see that.
Yeah.
But you still have your own look. But did you feel, I want to be Chasen, I don't want to be... I mean, I think every actor feels that. Yeah, I think
I felt that. I had some people say I look like Brando, which didn't bother me one bit.
Sure, no. Yeah.
And so I was aware of that, and I think I was aware that with my look and with my build and with my height, that I think people can see me as a kind of a young, fresh-faced California guy, which is fine. You can't be too picky as a young person, but I wanted to kind of break that. And in order to challenge that, you really got to know what you're doing. Because you really got to be good if you're going to break people's perception of your physical look. Like, you really got to bring that essence of what you want with you. And I'm trying to think of what else. Because, yeah, people have said I look like Brando. At drama school, I don't think they cast me as outsiders very often, which disappointed me, I must admit. Like,
right.
They cast me as a lot of kings and princes, which is fine. But I was thinking to myself, I don't really know if that's me, unless it's a weird king, like a King George III type of king.
So you knew that people considered you extremely attractive, and you were okay with that. I guess. But okay, well, but you wanted something with maybe more depth to it that wasn't just like, oh, he's a pretty boy. You wanted something that has maybe a dark side or a complicated side to it.
Yeah, it's not that attractive can't have depth to it, but I liked Ryan Gosling is an actor who really speaks to me because he's very good looking, he's very handsome, but up until a couple films recently, he never chose typical leading man roles. I mean, there was a Notebook. But even then, with The Notebook, he doesn't really play it like a typical handsome guy. You know, you can tell he's a bit of a sensitive kind of person, and there's a little bit of like kind of I think something he's trying to prove with that character. But if you look at after The Notebook, you know, because he could have just been this romantic leading man, but he chose films like Half Nelson, where he played a coke-addicted teacher, Lars and the Real Girl, like, because he's this beautiful man, but he wears ugly sweaters in that movie and like stupid beanies, and he's so disconnected that he has a sex doll that he marries and is in love with.
Right.
And you know, or Blue Valentine.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Blue Valentine. He's just this working class dude who's the product of divorce, and I think he just really challenged his type for sure, and Drive as well. He's just this autistic seeming driver.
Right. So when you were told what your type was, did you find different ways where you thought, okay, I'd like to work around it when I do an audition, or even what I'm cast for, I want to have my own way about it that's not just this one-dimensional pretty character, but I want to have it be complicated layers where you go, there's a backstory here that brought that person to be who they are, and I want to be the one that finds out.
Yeah. I mean, because I didn't have too many auditions in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in New York, I just try to play it the best I can. Like I don't know. I actually think there is a danger in trying, because as an actor you got to make choices, but there is a danger in kind of over-intellectualizing what you're doing too much and kind of saying, like, I need this result to happen, or I want this result to happen, or you have a fixed idea of what a character is supposed to be. I mean, you can play with it and you can see what the essence of the character is and what part of the story the character is at, and then you can try different things. Like, I imagine this character is a bit like a panther. Maybe that's how he moves, or maybe this character's like that boisterous Texas man I saw at the bar the other night. But I think you can get too caught up in backstory. I mean, I think there are some decisions that you have to make, but like, I think so many people try to think like, what's this character's favorite color? Or like, you know, what's like what made him cry as a kid? And I think like, if it's hinted at in the script, or if it's important, then yeah, maybe decide that. But I think if you're just making stuff up, I think you can kind of get caught up in your own head, and you can kind of hypnotize yourself, or it's just all just psychology that it's just things that you made up, rather than just something that's quite tangible, that's kind of immediate. Like I said, like the whole panther thing. It's like, you know, there's a very simple and recognizable essence to a panther, you know, or like a chicken, or whatever you think your character is. Or so I guess when I look at an audition, like, I know that I'm different, and I know that I don't express emotion or intention in the way that most people do. So, and I have to be aware of that. Let's say if I'm playing a clean-cut businessman, I'll have to change my essence. But at the end of the day, I know that it's just me. So I think that'll come across.
Give me an example of a human panther. If you were a man in a suit, or whatever your attire is, but
panther.
You're a human panther in some sense.
Good example. I think, because they're very sleek too, the way they move. If I gotta be really, really specific on this.
And they're calculating.
I'll tell you what. It's not Michael Crawford is the original Phantom of the Opera. If you watch the way he moved, I wasn't born at that time, but I've seen videos of him, and I've talked to people who watched it. He moved almost like a panther. Like, every move that he made was so fluid and so calculated, and he was just so, it's like every muscle in his body was just so kind of focused on what was in front of him. And he wore very small shoes that were too tight for him, so every step he had to take had to be very delicate and very precise and very ginger, because his shoes were so tight. And he chose to do that to make himself move more, more cautiously, so he didn't have to act it.
Interesting. Do you study a lot of old movies?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I think young actors don't watch nearly enough old performances, because they're given this idea that it's dated. And yeah, maybe some things are different, but I think there's a lot you can learn from old actors. Even if the style is different, you can adjust it. But yeah, I watched a lot of old movies.
What? Brando?
Yeah, Brando.
Anyone else? James Dean?
Yeah, Dean's great. I think he... Yeah, Dean's great. I think he had a few flaws, but he's got great, very interesting physicality. Everything he does is so reflexive and so spontaneous, and he's just so supple. Brando had very much of a tension about him, and Dean was much more kind of flowing. Henry Fonda is a favorite of mine, an old favorite.
Nice.
It's very unaffected.
Any older actor that was also an outsider?
Well, Dean, he was a moody teenager, and it's kind of the guy just felt very disconnected from where he was. That's why I think Rebel, people still look at that image of Rebel Without a Cause, because he's just a teenager who doesn't know what he wants to do with his life and doesn't feel like he has any role models. And Robert Mitchum was quite an outsider. He was a first actor arrested for smoking pot. If you look at Night of the Hunter, that's such a strange performance, which I think is why it holds up now. It was weird then, and it's still weird now. So Robert Mitchum is definitely an outsider actor, I think.
Female actors. I mean, I know Marilyn Monroe definitely had a sort of a bunny-like facade, but I think she was very bright and intense behind the scenes.
She has great movement. My God, if you look at her hips, she's got the great. It's all in the hips with Marilyn, the way she moves them. Little more recent, but I think Sissy Spacek might be my favorite actress. She's got a very unique, a lot of grace about Sissy Spacek. I think a lot of understanding. If you look at Badlands, it just doesn't even feel like a performance.